So today's $1,000,000 question is, do you really need to have a rehearsal for your wedding ceremony? Let me know if you vote yes or no and why down in the comments. Hello, and welcome to the channel if you're new here, or welcome back if you are not. My name is Kayla, and I'm the owner and lead wedding planner here at Transformed Events, where we help DIY couples to ball out on a budget. I just want to make a quick disclaimer that if you have watched previous videos, you'll see that my microphone is actually not on a stand today. I have to hold it, unfortunately, because the stand just decided to go haywire today. So we're just making it work, rolling with the punches. And that is actually a wedding planning lesson in and of itself, truthfully, because there are going to be things that come up in this process that you don't expect, that you don't plan for, right? That may cause you a little bit of stress, but you just have to roll with those punches, and I promise you everything will be okay. So anyway, on to the topic at hand. Today we are going to be chatting all about wedding rehearsals. If you need one, what's involved in it, and some practical steps you can take if you don't have a planner or coordinator running the rehearsal for you. So one of the questions I get asked a ton is, do we really need a wedding rehearsal? And I typically hear this combined with the phrase like, most of my wedding party has already been in a wedding before, so we don't want to waste people's time practicing something they've already done 10 times before, something like that, right? And I do get the sentiment, but while they've been in plenty of other weddings before, every wedding truly is different, even for me as a wedding planner. And quite honestly, when we're at the rehearsal, it's always the people who have previously been in multiple weddings asking questions because they know that every wedding is different, whereas the people who've never been in a wedding before don't even really know the right questions to ask, right? So in my professional opinion, you should not skip having a rehearsal. I can tell you plenty of stories of couples not having a rehearsal and something going poorly that could have been covered there. But I can also tell you plenty of stories where there was no rehearsal and everything went just fine. And also vice versa, where there was a rehearsal, but there were still some hiccups, right? But at the end of the day, you just have to decide if that's a risk that you are willing to take or not. If you decide not to do one, I would recommend sending through at least like a PDF or text message or something like that with some key things that you want them to know ahead of time and some helpful reminders of things that they need to know. And I'll put a picture up on the screen right over here of something that I send some of my couples who decide not to do a rehearsal, because at the end of the day, even if I recommend it, right, I can't force anyone to do anything. So if someone doesn't do a rehearsal, it's, I tell them the risk. I tell them, things may go wrong, blah, blah, blah. But it's usually fine. But a lot of time what I find is that the rehearsal really helps to ease everyone in the wedding party, and also you as the couple, to feel just more confident going into the big day, right? And who does not want to feel more confident? Am I right? So now let's go ahead and chat about what happens at the rehearsal and steps that you should take if you don't have a wedding planner or coordinator to run it with you or run it for you. So for me, a wedding rehearsal is important because it gives the wedding party and family a chance to see my face, know who they can come to for help on the wedding day, right? So first and foremost, I introduce myself to everyone and let them know that I will be there for them for the whole entire day. I'll be there with them, and don't hesitate to come grab me or someone on my team if there's anything that they need throughout the day. If you don't have a wedding coordinator, this will be a great time to let everyone know who they can go to that's not you for anything like that. I can absolutely promise you it will not be a fun time if people are coming up to you for every single little thing and you can't enjoy your own day. So definitely designate someone to answer little questions and just generally be readily available that is not you. Secondly, I go ahead and line everyone up in the order that they're walking down the aisle in, and we practice walking down the aisle. I stand right next to them and I tell every single person when it's time to walk so that they don't feel too much pressure or anything like that. And you may have seen some tips online to start the rehearsal process backwards and work in reverse order. So you just need to decide if you think that will be helpful for you and your wedding party or not. But for me, I personally just like to work in chunks chronologically. So we start with the processional, I pause, we chat about anything we need, and then we go ahead and move forward from there. If you don't have a wedding coordinator, you're definitely going to want to tell them exactly when they should walk, when to start, how to walk, provide as much clear instructions and directions as possible, since you won't be able to do that on the wedding day. So a quick example will be giving them like a clear landmark, right, of when they should start walking when the next person in front of them, say, reaches that tall oak tree in the corner, or something along those lines, so that everyone is just on the same page with when they need to start walking, with how they need to start walking, all that kind of good stuff. And you also want to give them little notes like how you want the ladies to hold their bouquets, right? Or how you want the gentlemen to have their hands, right? Things like that. Once everyone gets down the aisle, you can then hand it over to your officiant to practice anything they want to rehearse within the ceremony, which is also what I do as well. If your officiant is not there, you can give everyone sort of a brief overview of anything they might need to be aware of, like say the cue for the best man to hand you guys the rings, or if you have any sort of element where people from the wedding party are involved, like say a sand ceremony, unity ceremony, anything like that. You want to let them know what they need to do, what time they need to do it, etc. Once the officiant is complete, I then go into practicing the recessional, which is where everyone walks back down the aisle. You also won't be able to coordinate this part of your wedding day, so you want to make sure, again, that everyone knows when to start walking after you walk out, knows how they should walk, how far apart they should walk, and anything else that you want them to know. Clarity is absolutely king here. I believe that you can never be too specific because it's better for people to have an excess of information than to be confused or unclear about what it is that they need to do. I also think that it's really important here to note that if you won't have someone guiding and directing your wedding party every step of the way, like a coordinator, you truly do have to lower your expectations of them because they are only human at the end of the day, and they might not remember every little thing that you say, right? At the end of the day, what's important is that you are going to be married. Not the fact that Sarah missed her cue and started walking late, or that Tim wasn't standing with his hands the right way. You know what I mean? I do also suggest to do the rehearsal twice just so that everyone feels comfortable, and you want to continually keep asking after every single step, does anyone have any questions? I am so sure that during my rehearsals, people get tired of hearing me say that multiple times, but it is really so important to leave that space so that everyone is always on the same page. Even for me, doing this nearly every single weekend, there are times when I maybe didn't explain something as clearly as I could have, and people just have follow-up questions, right? Or I just want to clarify something, or someone else just wants to clarify something to make sure that they heard correctly, and just leaving space for those questions is necessary to ensure things can go as smoothly as they possibly can. Now, in the event that you're not able to have the rehearsal at the venue itself, it's really not that big of a deal. I do rehearsals all the time that don't happen at the venue because maybe the venue had a different wedding the day before and we couldn't practice, right? Or the times that the venue had available for rehearsal, no one could make that time, so they had to choose a time that's maybe later in the evening, and so we weren't able to have the rehearsal at the venue itself. But I can tell you that rehearsals are absolutely still helpful, even if it's not at the venue, because the rehearsal is more focused on what people are doing rather than the location itself. But if this is the case for you, then you're definitely going to want to be abundantly clear on describing where people should meet at the venue, where they'll be lining up at, where you'll meet after the ceremony, and just any location things that they need to know since you can't show them those physical spaces. You might even want to consider providing them with a sort of floor plan because visual aids are often really helpful for some people, especially if they have never been to that venue before. So go ahead and comment down below if you have any more questions, and we'll definitely write back to you, or shoot me a DM on Instagram at Transformed Events, and let's go ahead and chat about your rehearsal. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this video. Please go ahead and like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and share it with a friend who is planning their wedding. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!